But, I mean, Dr. Blaylock, you in the past on this show have read amazing quotes by the Rockefellers and in their own textbooks and documents where they admit they're eugenicists and wanted to create a medical tyranny to reduce the population. And then just recently, Eco Science, the textbook written by the White House science czar, John P. Holdren, about how they would implant us with devices to sterilize us, put drugs in the water, lower our libido and sterilize us, set up a planetary government to do this, eradicate the family, using the educational system as the wedge to start that. And then since then, all these other books he wrote and government textbooks have come out describing exactly what they're now doing. And I have him in congressional hearings where Jay Rockefeller says, oh, you walk on water. Oh, you're the master planner. Oh, you're the great builder. It appears that they have adopted his plan. Now, we know there were previous ones that were similar, but it's like they treat him like a rock star when he's on Letterman, when he's before committees. And it appears that his plan from 1977, in this case, was adopted.
Well, yeah, and as I told you on that previous program when we were talking about the Rockefeller Foundation and Carnegie Foundation and Ford, they were spending virtually millions, hundreds of millions of dollars on population control, eugenics, and sterilization. And if you read their literature, I'm talking about some of the most powerful, influential people in society in the 1910, 1920 era, it was very open, this call for controlling a population and reducing the level of the unfit and people without social utility. They were quite open about it. Well, they're not quite as open about it, but they're still writing about these things in the literature. And these are people that are very influential, writing in prestigious journals and magazines. If you look at the group of papers collected by the Hastings Center, which Ezekiel Emanuel, Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel, the health czar for Obama, his papers are calling for this very thing, that we need to let the elderly die and stop giving them health care because they're an expense to the society and they have no right to live. Well, this was a very similar thing that we heard in the 1910s and 20s being funded on a massive scale by the Rockefeller and Carnegie and Ford Foundation. And at the same time in Germany, I'm talking about in 1910, long before Hitler came along, their society was just flooded with the same literature, and so was Austria, talking about the need to control the unfit and to control.
And we know who funded that, the Rockefellers, again, with the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute, exactly. Almost single-handedly bankrolled it, along with Thomas Watson of IBM.
And much of their literature came from the United States. They were quoting the literature that was produced by the Rockefellers and the Carnegies. So Hitler grew up in a society that openly was discussing the need to eliminate the unfit and the people that were disabled. That's right.
Bill, Hitler thought the U.S. and England were going to join him. And that's why the King of England, Edward VIII at the time, was a Nazi, and Hitler was on Time magazine, and, man, he's doing a great job sterilizing and killing the retarded kids, and, my God, we need to have more of this here, and we can drug the water, and then they went underground, and now they're doing it to us, and the general public better wake up.
Well, the problem with the average person is they're not reading what these people are writing, because they're openly writing about a lot of this now. The need to regulate and control society. If you read this health care bill, and I've read all 1,017 pages and analyzed various sections of it in detail, it is designed to eliminate the unwanted people. And it conforms exactly to this Rockefeller idea that certain people are not fit to live in society and they have no right to be here. And that governments should decide who has the right to live in the United States and who doesn't. I wrote a paper recently called Social Utility. Who should we let mom, grandmother, and grandpa live? Well, that I go through.
Well, that's the thing. I want you to comment on that. But Daschle wrote a book saying if you're 60, you don't get eye surgery, you don't get brain surgery,
and that's what they do in the socialized healthcare system.
But that's the thing, is they write it. Emanuel's brother says it. The bill says we're going to do what this board recommends, and then you read what the board recommends, and it's what you just said, and then they lie and say we're not doing this, just like they have bills introduced for compulsory service, and Obama wants it, and he's going to have the kids form up in front of him next week, literally with telescreens like 1984, and then now he's saying, well, what's wrong with that? I mean, Dr. Blaylock, do you ever pinch yourself, even though you study this and expose it, that it's really happening, that these people really are in control?
Well, it's happening so rapidly. You know, as I tell people, if you go back 40 years, you had a hard time getting a politician to admit he was a liberal. Well, now they proudly not only say they're liberals, but that they're far left. You know, most of the time on TV, they say from the left. Well, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, you would never hear a politician say he was from the left, because that's admitting I'm a socialist or a communist, that I'm a collectivist. But they're proud of it now, and what happened when we got the Obama administration is they felt, well, the people want collectivism, and therefore we can move ahead full steam.
Well, look at Van Jones saying, hey, the green jobs is to take the economy over for total redistribution of wealth. I mean, these people mean business.
That's collectivism. And it's the idea that there's a group of wise people who tell the rest of society what their duty is. And this health corps, this core of young people being drafted is exactly that. You have a duty to do what your government tells you to do and help it. You know, recruit other people into the
Amazing. Amazing. Dr. Blaylock, stay there. When we come back, I want to get it more into the eugenics master plan and then take phone calls at 1-800-259-9231.